Matt, how you doing? Ladies and gents, we've got the chair of the first ever West of Scotland committee, Matt Bamford, with us. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to be invited. Thanks.
Matt, superb. Well, Mr. Chairman must have said, do I need to bow in that now?
Is it?
No, Sir will be fine, thanks.
Would it favour Ashfield in any way?
Right, Matt. Well, obviously, brand new into the role, and congrats on that.
Yeah.
Be able to tell people, how was it you were elected for the role, or how were you chosen for the role?
Well, obviously, once the West of Scotland League was set up, Dave McKenna and the Lowland League guys were they were running things. So they gathered a few guys together initially just to set up the teams and make sure everybody had all the right information and things. And they were looking for help. It was all volunteers. And I got a phone call from Peter Ferguson for Rutherglen. They were talking about the websites, and I phoned Dave McKenna and said, look, the West Region website's still sitting there. We could just rebrand it. And he said, no problem at all. How do you fancy helping us out? And I told my wife when I stood down for the West Region Juniors that was me done. I was just going to stick with Clyde back and nothing else. And I got the old, look. And so I said I would help him out. Started doing all the disciplinary stuff, me and Peter. Took on the role as discipline secretary, but I said to him, look, this is I'm just doing this to help. This is not what I want to be doing. And then when it came time for people to put themselves forward for the new roles, a couple of guys had said to me, because I'd been president of the West Region, you'd be ideal to step in as chairman here. And to be honest, it wasn't something I thought about as a thing, but once folks started asking me, I thought, why not? And then the wife just said, well, I knew you were anyway, so that was it.
So since you were on the disciplinary committee there, does that mean that you were the one that decided that Moff and Gaz were going to get a 2-game ban?
No, fortunately, the Premier Division get dealt with by the SFA.
Right.
So we only look after the conferences.
I was going to say, is that him running behind you, Matt, and that Hull running up to chase you?
So the time came when the names were getting put forward. So basically all the guys who were on the interim management group all put themselves forward for roles on the new board. And we get 3 new guys. We get Martin McKenna for St Ants, Ian Young for Glenafton, and Bobby McNamara for Ardrossan Winton Rovers as league reps. So it's good that we're working with the guys that seen us through to this, and a couple of new faces in.
That's good.
It's impressive names in a range of clubs it's covered with as well, Matt. I was having a wee look at it, and it's good to see. It's a good structure in it.
Aye, and that's it. I mean, the thing was, as we said, because there was 8 years came across, the 3 new guys, we thought, well, look, we don't want them to feel left out because we've been there together for nearly a year. So I'd phoned them all up on the Sunday. With the Saturday night, they announced who was standing and the fact that we were unopposed because there was nobody else standing for the roles. So I phoned the 3 guys up on the Sunday and says, look, welcome to it. Hope you enjoy it. Every one of them up for it. Yes, definitely. It's a new thing. It's a clean sheet. Let's make the league the way we want it to be, as good as we can get it to be. And as you see through the social media stuff, Martin McKenna's done an absolutely fantastic job. I mean, the positive feedback we are getting. We even got praise on the Pie and Bovril. I mean, that's just unheard of. So
I've been slated a few times on that, to be honest with you, man.
See, to be fair, I didn't realise, is it Martin that does the social media stuff then?
Aye, well, he just came in, and because he'd been doing all the ant stuff,
aye.
Initially Colin Boyd was going to be doing it because that's his business. He is a media guy. But when we got Martin on, and he was, he's got great ideas. We could do this, we could do that. We just said, right, on you go.
They've got a really good social media page, isn't he? Really good.
Amazing.
I think you've started off well with a point, Martin. For I think you're not going to get much better at this level for doing that.
No.
So what is it you've been doing? Because this is, in my ignorance, I don't really know a great deal about what the committees and stuff do. What is it you've been doing before you were elected up until this point for this season?
Well, initially, obviously, it was just getting the season started. The first thing we needed was a constitution to present to the Scottish FA for them to approve it, to approve the league, because obviously the league is just an idea until it gets approved by the Scottish FA. So there was a lot of work to get done in the background. That you had a set number of teams. You had fixtures, you had a constitution, you had, a lot of admin stuff had to be done. And Dave McKenna for the Lowland League, he'd taken on the role as chairman again to start it off, and he'd done a power of work in the background to get that sort of thing done. So once we got that sorted out, then obviously we had to meet with the clubs, explain what was happening. Kenny Young was doing the fixtures, so we got them out with the target to start on the 24th of October. So, I mean, when we first kicked the ball on the 20th, that was a fantastic day. We'd achieved something for where we were when we sort of stopped playing in March. We were still junior clubs at that time, and then went all the way through the summer to get to the stage where, Clydebank were doing it Largs, and we thought, this is fantastic. The first game back in senior football, and it's a professional league, if you like, part of the pyramid. So that was a big step. But then obviously there was a few clubs who decided not to play this season for whatever reason. There was no harm in that. And then there was more dropped out once they seen there was no dressing rooms, no supporters. So there was a lot of pressure, to make it work. But we always said that we'd be led with the teams. The clubs were they were going to decide how we went. So after the meetings and the votes, and we decided we were still going to proceed with the league, it was going well. And then they shut us down again. So it was absolutely gutting, and everybody was gutted for it.
See, just on that, Matt, the league did do tremendous to get it going, and I agree, Matt, it was brilliant. But obviously, changing facilities and stuff like that was a massive loss in it. We did a lot of games, we did a few games doing it, Ayrshire and that as well, and for the boys to get down and have no changing facilities and that, it's difficult. But I suppose that's out where you're controlling it. Was that coming from higher powers above that? Obviously, changing facilities and stuff couldn't be used.
Aye, that came for the Scottish FA, so we had to go with their guidance. And again, some of the clubs, as you say, had decided because of that kind of thing that they wouldn't play this season. But at Clydebank, Moff and the boys, they were keen to play. But we always say, look, this is down to the players, and they need to understand what they're letting themselves in for. We've not got any fans. We don't know if we'll ever get fans this season. As it turned out, we probably won't. Dressing rooms, again, might not get dressing rooms. It was fine in the start of the season when the weather was decent. It was no problem, we'll just turn up. But when the winter's coming in, our players going to change their minds and have a wee rethink about this. But to a man, our players, just want to play football, but no bother, we just want to play. And so we chose to go on with it. But it was tough at times when you're out there. I think we played a friendly, and it was absolutely lashing down. It poured for the heavens, and you're thinking, these guys are doing this for next to nothing. It's only a friendly, and they've got another bloody 6 months of this to go. So it was, all credit to the players, not just our team, but all the teams who stuck with it and accepted the hardships they were putting up with.
I think it is difficult, but you've got, like you said, you've got boys who just want to play. And I've seen it when I went down to Ashfield with Dak, just to have a wee look about and stuff and do one of their wee videos. Guys turning up and it was frozen. They knew they couldn't get changed that, but it's a kind of credit to themselves and the clubs to make sure that this season, even if it doesn't finish, has partially been able to go and has started the kind of maiden season. What's going to be your role from now on then? What is it that you're going to be doing on the committee?
Personally, the chairman's role it's a bit of a figurehead role, but one of the things we have said is that everybody on this committee is going to have a job. We don't want to, in the past with the juniors, the West Region, because we were dealing with all the discipline, you ended up, every meeting was a discipline meeting, especially with Ashfield players and that come up constantly.
Yeah, real boys aren't that bad, are they, Matt? Not me.
Well, that was it, but you never got
actually stopped playing.
But you never get a chance to actually, deal with stuff and look forward to and plan other things because you were constantly dealing with discipline. So this season, because the SFA judicial panel, they deal with the Premier Division, so we don't need to worry about them. We've just got the 3 conferences. And what we've done is we've set up a subcommittee to deal with that. So we've got a wee discipline committee, 3 guys. Whenever there's an appeal or a hearing, they deal with that, and it leaves everybody else to carry on with meetings and do, the planning. The Martin's getting, great ideas. So then we say, right, okay, then how do we make this happen? He looks at international days of the week every day. So International Women's Day, obviously, the past couple of days, he's been hitting that hard. He's looking forward a month and saying, right, this one's coming up next. We're going to, plan a strategy for how we're going to do it. And it's encourage. My job is basically to encourage everybody else to have the ideas and do the work. I was having a chat with John Dalton's our secretary for Whitlets, and we natter with him earlier on. And one of the things we said in the constitution, it says clubs have got to play with a recognised match ball as agreed with the league or something. I can't remember how it was worded. He's seen a post from a company in Glasgow that do match balls which are fair trade. So that would be a brilliant thing, So if the league can tie in with them, we're going to have a chat with them. That's the sort of thing we might be doing. We might be doing things differently. We don't want to just be what the juniors done. We're different, we're new, and we can do what we want, really, as long as the clubs agree with it and we can sell it to them. So my role is going to be running meetings, but encouraging folk to get involved and encouraging them with the ideas, and then working out how we can make these ideas and put them into practice.
See, Matt, just on that, I think I'll be honest, with this pandemic and the new setup, I think it's a great opportunity for the committee to really put out something there that the fans are going to accept, because I can see through just even my own social media and speak to people, a lot of people are getting scunnered with the senior game this season. I don't think you're getting as much value for the money as what you're getting. So for us in the West, I think it's the best possible opportunity to try and jump this way, and it's obviously safe to do so, to try and make our product as good as possible, because I think there'll be a few people sitting on the fence regarding senior football and paying that money to follow the bigger clubs in Scotland, their merchandise and everything like that. So I think it's hopefully will be a good chance for all the clubs in our region to try and maybe get a few extra fans or a wee bit extra interest in it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, we have probably in the West, we've got the best clubs at this level, the best quality at this level. So we're going to see the clubs that are obviously applying for their licence this year potentially go on into the big Scottish Cup next season, and they're going to make an impact. We've seen Talbot do it in the past, we've seen Evermedi do it in the past. Hopefully next year it'll be Clydebank you'll be watching doing it. So, but there's going to be, our profile's going to go really sky high, and we want to be encouraging that. So the other thing we want to be doing is encouraging the clubs to improve, not just on the park, but off the park. So the big aim, for further down the line is that every club in the Premier Division will be licensed, because then there's nothing to stop anybody getting into the playoffs should they win the league. Every club below that should have a quality mark, because then you're proving that you've got the wherewithal behind your club to survive, and it's a well-run club. So things like that were encouraged before, but never followed through.
Yeah.
We're going to follow them through. We're going to have people helping clubs, so that if your club, I don't know if Ashfield's got quality mark or anything, but if your club's not got their quality mark and they want it, we'll have somebody who can help you, somebody who guides you through because it's all admin, it's all paperwork. Somebody who guides you through that. We've got a great deal with PDM Build Base, the sponsors, and at the end of every season, they'll give £5,000 worth of building materials to the league. So we're going to be speaking to clubs. If a club, St Ant's, they've not got any shelter, if they want to put a shelter up and it's going to cost them £5,000, we can give them some of that. We're not going to give them it all, but we can give them some of that material, so that can get them on their way. And clubs can approach us to get things, to make because it's all about fans. We want fans back in.
Aye.
But if your ground's no up to it and folk turn up one day and they're not coming back, we want to improve these things off the pitch as well as on. And that's where we're going to hopefully be different, and that we're actually going to help clubs. We're going to be, showing them the way to get these things done and guiding them through paperwork and admin stuff, but obviously also funding streams. We'll find out where all the money is in Scottish football and how to get it, and we'll have somebody to guide the clubs through, making these applications and things.
Well, see, you're saying obviously it's changed for the juniors and stuff, and you want to do things differently, which it's good that it's a clean slate, that you're getting the opportunity. You've obviously, there would have been clubs that were dragging their heels to come in, and you're talking about the Premier League teams having their licensing and the other clubs getting quality marks. Do you think there's going to be an issue because everybody kind of had to come it's not like in the East where they were still able to keep junior football. That many teams wanted to go in the West that the juniors couldn't survive. So these teams were either had to have went amateur or no played or whatever. Do you think that there'll be some clubs that just have no interest to go higher, but they just came because there was nowhere else to go?
I think there probably is some clubs like that. And again, it's our job as the committee to change their mind, is to convince them that this is a better setup and to encourage them to improve. There will be clubs, as you say, that are quite happy sitting where they are and just... The problem we've got, I think, is like most clubs, there'll be a lot of clubs with small committees, older guys, and to be honest, their ambition is just to get a team in the park on a Saturday. So again, their clubs need support, and we want to support them and help them to, again, if we had raised the profile of the whole league, not just the Premier Division, the whole lot, then they might get people coming down to, volunteer and help out. And that's what we want to do. We want to raise the profile for every club, not just the top clubs. Every club in the league should be proud to be part of the West of Scotland. And then we want to be, promoting them, helping them financially, physically, all the rest of it, so that we get them to buy into what we're trying to do. That's our big thing.
A big hint for it for me with the setup, and I know it was a feeling at your club at Ashfield. It was, you dream, don't you? You sit and you dream. Doesn't matter how small a club you are. Or like Ashfield were massive, and we've kind of slipped down the levels of recent times. But I know in our dressing room and in our management team, we're looking at it and going, let's dream. Let's try and push up the ladder, and this gives you the best opportunity. Although it's difficult to try and progress and try and get yourself into the senior rank. So that's a big motivation and a big carrot in the league for us, even though it might not be realistic, I don't know, but it's just that hope and that opportunity to maybe progress. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, and that's it. And as you say, in the dressing room, I don't suppose any one of your players is there just to kick a ball. They all want to win games. Mm-hmm. If you win enough games, you'll get promoted.
Aye.
And then, so that's the carrot. If your guys come in with the attitude that they want to go out and win, which every player does, I don't know a player that doesn't want to win a game of football, then once they start winning a few games, you're like, hang on a minute now, we've got a chance to, do something this season. And that generates you again and keeps you going. And at the end of the season, you could, we're promoted into the next league. Where do we go now? And then you think, well, hang on, we done it last year.
Aye.
Let's have a go at it this year. And I think that's what it's about, is, as you say, clubs can see now that there is a pathway. There's no the glass ceiling anymore. It might be many years before you get to that stage, but at least if you've got the ambition and you're working towards it, and as we're saying, we want clubs to be doing this off the park as well, not just on the park. Don't spend all your money on players' wages. Get your infrastructure right as well, so that as you move up, you've got less to do when the time comes. So if it takes you 5 years to get a club licence, you've spent 5 years getting ready for it. You're not doing it in a season trying to spend money that you maybe not have. So start, everything you do to develop your club should be with an aim to get a licence. Whether it's 5-10 years time, doesn't matter. But if you're doing the right things at the beginning, it means you're not knocking things down in 2 years time because they're not standard. Take to the right standard to start with, and then that's a tick in the box by the time it comes.
Well, see on the remainder of this season, like this episode will be released on the 17th, and it's the 9th today. So Nicola Sturgeon has given an announcement today that teams can go back non-contact training up to 15 players. Does that give you any hope that the season can be finished? And also, what does it actually mean for you? What are you viewing in the target, and what your hopes are for the remainder of this season?
Well, obviously the announcement is good. It's a wee bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We've got to wait for the Scottish FA now to speak to the government, because although she's saying you can have 15 players doing non-contact training, are they allowed to travel? Because, that's another thing that's at the moment we're locked in. You're not supposed to be travelling. So that's where the SFA need to go and speak to them to get the full picture on what we're allowed to do and who's allowed to do it. But the fact that she's saying we can go back to some sort of training is good. I know the clubs will be glad of it just to get together again. Even if it is non-contact, just the fact you're getting all your squad together to have a run about and kick a ball for a wee while will be brilliant. But that's not going to get you ready for playing league games. You need to be doing proper training. So for us, our season's finishing on the 22nd of May. That's the end of the season. So we've got to look at how many games do we need to play to get above 50%. So if we need to, we can go to the points per game, the average points per game. How many game days do we need? And then we count back for that. And how many training sessions will a club need before they're ready to play? So if you say you need 2 weeks training before you start kicking a ball, and we need X number of games before we get to the 22nd of May, then we need to say, right, okay, we've got a date in mind now. If we are not training by that date, we can't finish the season.
Right.
So we're as well telling the clubs just now so they can start planning for next year. There's no point. One of the, speaking to him off as well, one of the biggest annoyances is the delays. Okay, she's come out the day and says you can start training on Friday, non-contact. But she'll tell us something else next week. Well, if you wait till next week, that's you lost 7 days. And then that might just be another, I will have a look at it and I'll tell you again in 2 weeks' time. So it just goes on and on and on, and people get more and more frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have a meeting this week, and there'll be something put out before the end of the week to say, this is our cut-off point.
I was going to say that, Matt, so you have got the cut-off point there, because just for me, I do totally understand why the league is delaying announcing what's happening, because you're trying to get every opportunity of resuming. I totally get that, but I think the clubs would appreciate, and as you know that yourself, we've been at Clydebank, just so they know where they stood, what that date is, and if there is a realistic possibility of the league starting back.
We want to start back. We want the guys playing football to see the season out.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that might not be possible. And
right.
So rather than drag it on, we want to make a decision. And we've kind of got a date in mind. It's not set yet, because again, this kind of gave us a wee bit of light. So we thought, well, hang on then, let's see, once we hear what the SFA's got to say, and if there's any more sort of guidance saying, okay, this is non-contact, you can go to contact in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, then you say, well, hang on then, there's a chance.
Yeah.
But if they just keep saying, we'll wait, then there's no point in hanging about. We just need to bite the bullet and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then once we've decided that, whichever way we're going to decide, we start looking at next season then. Because next season will be a new full season. Fingers crossed. There shouldn't be any hassle. The way they're talking, there might not be supporters in at the beginning. It might be September before the fans are allowed back in. But at least we should be starting a season with 67 clubs all kicking off on our date. And we're looking at potentially bringing the season start date forward a wee bit into July, so that because the Premier Division next season's a 38-game league. There's 20 teams in that league, so that's a lot of games to fit in. Plus, we'll be running the West of Scotland Football League Cup. Plus, you'll have the South Challenge Cup. Plus, you've got the potentially good clubs being in the Big Scottish Cup. Yeah. There's a lot of games to fit in. So if we can get a good start, an early start, and again, that depends on when we finish this season. So if we get an early finish, clubs have got loads of time to get themselves sorted out, get their pre-season under their belt and all the rest of it when they can get back to doing it, and then start afresh next year.
See, on the fact you've had clubs who started this season, and it's looking unlikely that anybody will do that next year because of the vaccine, the numbers dropping and stuff. It's looking like a good chance that next season will go ahead, even though it might not have fans until possibly September, October. It looks like next season can probably go ahead as a normal season would. See if there is a change in circumstance and clubs want to pull out again for the season. What is going to be the situation for you with that? Because you kind of have clubs dropping out every year until this is sorted.
Once we know what's happening for next season, obviously the pandemic's been the pandemic. If we are back to as near normal as we can get in normal life, not just in football, in normal life, we'll be starting a season with 67 teams. If any of these clubs want to drop out, they'll need a damn good reason for it. Mm-hmm. Because if there's no a scientific reason, if you like, for having it, if all the guidance is saying it's good to go, then there shouldn't be any reason for a club dropping out next year. But every case will be taken its merits. If some clubs got a good reason for it, we'll look at that. But if clubs just want to drop it because it doesn't suit them, then we'll just...
Would that mean that even if one club managed to pull out, would that mean that there would be like the no promotion, no relegation sort of outcomes?
No. That'll, again, depends which club it is and which league they're from.
Right.
But things will be rearranged. There will be promotion and relegation for the leagues next season.
See, Matt, the date on the 22nd of May, does the league have to finish then, or can it be extended, or is that coming for the SFA basically?
Well, that was the date to set for the Premier Division to announce a winner to go into the playoffs.
Right.
So that's the kind of date that this level finishes at, 22nd of May. In a normal season, obviously, you would then have the playoffs between, it would have been East and the South, but now we're involved, so there'll be a three-way playoff for promotion into the Lowland League. That might not happen this season because we don't know what the Lowland League are doing, because they've obviously got issues with their promotion up into the SPFL. So it's just been an absolutely nightmare season for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just saying, look, again, we're guided by the SFA on when and what we do. But if we can take the lead on some of the things and at least get the clubs to realise that we're doing it for the benefit of them and for the best ability, that we finish the season on the 22nd of May and then we move on for next year and we start planning things and getting things in place for it.
Yeah. Do you think, Matt, sorry, PG, I know I'm jumping in here. Do you think that as well, Matt, that there could even be a possibility that our tap league could go back and the conferences might not go back?
We'd rather know.
Because I know that they've got the opportunity of the promotion, whereas the rest is in the conferences are really playing for a league title, isn't it?
Aye, for this season.
For this season, aye.
Aye, I see what you're saying. I don't know if clubs would want to drop it now. I mean, they've went through all the pain to get to here. I think if there was a chance to start back again, those that had been playing would want to start back again, even if it's just to get together and
No, but what I mean is it like you always hear like wee rumours and that, it's always when you're involved in the game, but is there a chance that it uses the elite as the tap league might go back, but the conferences might be told, no, we'll just finish your season off, but we need the tap league to go ahead due to the fact that the promotion's there.
No,
possibility of promotion.
That's our commitment is to play the games, and
right.
That'll be for everybody. We're not going to pick and choose which league goes forward, which league doesn't. If we start back, everybody will be starting back.
See, on the conferences, my understanding, as limited as it is that obviously you'd have been a one-season conference and then you'd have put the leagues together for then.
Aye.
What's going to be the situation next year? Is it just going to be conferences again until it can be decided? Aye.
Yeah, what we've done was obviously this season was meant to be a Premier Division and 3 conferences underneath it, with promotion and relegation at the end of the season. But because clubs were dropping out, because of the pandemic, you couldn't very well punish a club for stepping out this season, or on the other hand, disadvantage a club who played the season. But then you say, well, all these guys who were in the Premier Division and didn't play, they're coming back in next season, so you're not getting promoted. So we couldn't have that. That's why this season is you're playing for winning your league. There's a championship at the end of it. There's medals at the end of it for the players. So there is something to play for. But the commitment was always that next season we'd go back to where we should have been this season. So there'll be the Premier Division of 20, the 3 conferences underneath it. And at the end of that season, there'll be 7 clubs relegated for the Premier Division, and there'll be 1 each from the conferences. The 3 conference winners will get promoted, and that'll bring us into a 16-team Premier Division. And then the clubs below that will be split up into First Division, Second Division, Third Division. So there's a lot to play for next season.
See Matt, on that, see the conferences next season, do you think that you will stick with the initial conferences that were announced and just putting the teams that pull out, like splitting in between them, or are you think they're just like totally different conferences of that?
No, it'll go back to the original conferences that were supposed to start when we were starting with the full league, if you like.
Right.
So before clubs started dropping out. The only reason the conferences changed was because clubs were dropping out.
Yeah.
And it was an imbalance, so Kenny had to shuffle them about. But next season it will be from the original setup. That'll be the conferences that go forward.
Yeah. So it's the one that was basically at the very start before the teams, right?
Yeah.
You've said, Matt, that there's going to be 67 teams in the setup next year. What does that mean for new clubs and new applicants. I'm asking this in a selfish point of view because I'm involved with a club who are going to be applying to the West of Scotland next season.
Right.
So it's what's going to be the case with the new applicants, and our club's going to be accepted into the setup?
What we're doing is there's obviously at the moment expressions of interest, and I think up until Sunday there was 17 expressions of interest. We did have some interest for the East Region junior clubs, but I don't know if you've seen it. We had a meeting with these Scotland clubs on Sunday, and we've agreed that we just stick to the boundaries that are there just now. So if you're in Lanarkshire and westwards, you're in the west. If you're east of that boundary, you're east of Scotland. The only club that sort of straddles it is Hart Hill, because the village is in Lanarkshire, but their grounds in West Lothian. So they kind of can pick and choose where they want. But any other club that's in the East Region Juniors just now, if they want to be in the pyramid, they join the East of Scotland League. So that took away a few of the expressions of interest. The other expressions we've got are for amateur clubs, for under 21s, and there's the criteria that we need for each of the clubs to meet first. So Colin Boyd's been dealing with this, so he's putting together the application form tonight, and that'll be put on the website probably this week, sometime before the end of the week. And then any club that wants to apply can apply. And as soon as you've applied, if your club applies, we'll come and visit you. We want to come down and see what you're all about. We want to make sure you're well run. You're going to finish a season if you start it. You're not just going to chuck it halfway through. And your ground, what state it's in. Is it suitable for playing at this level? One of the things we're looking at is that the criteria should be different for each level. There's no reason why your club should have the same standard of ground as Auchinleck Talbot, because you're a wee bit away from being at that level. Aye. So we're looking at the different grounds criteria. And once we've had a visit with you and we think your ground's suitable and you're a suitable candidate, we will put your name forward to the AGM, because it's not the committee that decides who goes forward, it's the AGM. So everybody's entitled to apply. Everybody will get a site visit. Clubs that we think are worth putting forward will get put forward. If your club's not quite ready, we'll explain what you need to do so you get ready maybe for next season. And then these names will be put in front of the AGM for the clubs to vote them in. Depending on how many we get, obviously they will go into potentially the conferences, or if there's 16 of them, we'll put a fourth division, put another league in. But there'll be no promotion for these clubs. So the thing is, we're protecting the West of Scotland clubs. They went through the hardship of this season, whether playing or no playing. They were guaranteed that next season will be what this season should have been. So if you're the 67th club in the West of Scotland next season, you'll be in the third division. There's no a club going to come in and go above you. So the new clubs, any new club, wherever they come from, will not get any promotion next year, unless there's a separate league. Then we can promote one club into the third to even up the numbers.
That's fair enough.
We need to protect the West of Scotland clubs first.
Like in terms, I'm not going to name my club at the moment or anything, but like we have the legacy status, we've got the full pathway, we've got the 20s, we're still going to keep the amateur team. We're looking at potential parks and stuff that will fit the criteria. See if it's, because I know a couple of clubs out my way have applied or going to apply, who, like I mentioned Harmony Row, who for me have got the full pathway and all that, who are a really well-known club. I'm not wanting you to say exactly like, aye, Harmony Row is what we want, but is that the type of club that you're looking for, where they have the full pathway, they've got the legacy status, they've got kind of a bit behind them, instead of just a particular amateur team who've decided they want to crack at it?
Oh, and I mean, that was the same when the West of Scotland League was set up. There was clubs putting their names forward. They didn't have a team, and they just, quite fancy this. We won't be as rigid as that, because obviously it's a different level. But we're looking for clubs, as you say, that are well established. They've got the pathway. Quality Mark legacy is brilliant, because then that shows that you're a well-run club. You've been through the process. It shows you're established. Somebody turning up saying, I'm going to start a team next season, and I'm going to sign somebody, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Maybe not going to work. Maybe not going to be, guaranteed to finish a season. So we're looking for clubs that are ambitious. They've got, if they don't have it just now, they've got a plan to get to where they need to be, and they show that this is what they want to be. We're not taking clubs in just to make up numbers. That's one thing we've been speaking about, is because we had such a large number of expressions of interest, we were thinking, do we set up a new league? Do we do this? Do we do that? But we thought, well, when you look at these clubs, half of them might not be suitable. So, and this is it. And we're talking now about, maybe if it's one club, they fill in the third division or the conference that's got a team short on it just now, make up the numbers. If it's 4 clubs, you can spread them between the 3 conferences. If it's 8 clubs, what do you do with them? So we're not taking clubs just to make up numbers. We will make the numbers fit the leagues. We're not going to make a league just to make up, or bring clubs in just to make it up.
That's brilliant. Well, I think we'll kind of end it there. We have a wee quiz that we do on our shorts. This one is called Best of the West. So, Dak, I'm going to need you to turn your sound off the now, mate.
Right, okay. We're letting the chairman go first, is that what it is? Indeed. Right, mate. 2 seconds, I'll mute this.
Use a thumbs up when you're sorted. Right, Matt, the first question, who are top of the 4?
No, sorry.
Dak, come on, man.
I could hear you. I don't know how do I get this? I just went to mute, but it just muted me.
Mate, you've made us look like an unprofessional mob here.
Wait, well, I'm not very professional.
Oh, no.
Wait, can you no mute me or anything? No.
I'll mute you, right. There you go, you're away. Can you hear me now?
Aye.
All you're doing is just stop switching his microphone off.
I'm not good with this. You sorted that? Right, good. But can you hear me? Aye.
I thought you had done this before.
No, normally his headphones in. And he just takes them out. So, Dak, unmute yourself. He's away at the room. Go away. Right. So, Matt, who are the top teams in each of the 4 leagues? So, the Premier League and the 3 conferences as it stands at the moment.
Obviously, Clydebank are top of the Premier at the moment.
Yep.
Long may it continue. The conference, I don't know, Brian. This is embarrassing. I don't know. No, sorry, I don't know.
Just have a guess. Conference A, B, and C. Have a guess.
What can we say? Let's. Well, they're not playing. What am I saying? St Ant's will be one of them. I think 3 clubs that are playing. Who else? Oh, this is embarrassing.
That is, yeah. You need to stop. Right. Well, I'm just going to mark you doing this.
What we're doing is
right. One. Second question. This won't be any better. Who are the bottom 4 teams?
The bottom of the Premier's Cumbernauld. Cumbernauld, the bottom of the Premier. And I've not a clue about the conferences. We'll edit this bit out.
No, I'm keeping this. This is the stuff that's good for us. Right, right. Who is the second highest ranked Central team in the West of Scotland? So for the old Central League, because the Premier League's just for Ayrshire teams basically. So who is the second highest ranked Central team, the old Legacy Central?
Well, in the Premier Division?
Just in the setup, so it will be in the Premier Division, aye.
Where's we going? It says Darvel. God, there's a lot of Ayrshire clubs, isn't there?
Aye, there is, aye.
I'm trying to think what am I doing here? Is it Rob Roy? No, that far down, surely.
Right, so next question. Out of the 4 new additions, who is the highest in the league? So you've got Drumchapel, St Cadoc's, Glasgow Uni and Bonnyton. Who is the highest out of the 4 of them in their respective leagues?
And their own St Cadoc's.
No worries, that's your 4 questions. I don't know where he's went to, so we'll just need to wait for him to come back. Next time I'm getting him to stick headphones in, he'll probably want me to text. Oh, there he is, he's back.
He's been listening at the door there.
You know. See, to be honest, you've not done very well, but he's not going to beat you.
Yeah, see being honest with you, man, I had to speak to my missus for 5 minutes there, Matt. What are you doing to me?
Right, Dak. Who are the top?
Hold on, how did Mr. Chairman do?
I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. It was
Crap.
bad.
Was that less pressure?
It was bad. Right. So, who are the top teams in each of the 4 leagues? So, the Premier League and the 3 conferences. Who are the top teams? Who's top of the leagues?
Prem is Clydebank. Then conferences is Neilston are top of theirs. Ours was it Ann Bank or Bellshill? I'm going to go with Ann Bank. I think they beat Bellshill in the last game. And the other one, I think it's Kilsyth is the top of the other one. I don't know if they've maybe got games in hand, but I'll go with that.
No worries. Who are the bottom 4 teams?
Thank God it's no Ashfield. No, our dear was ours. Top division, I'm sure it was Bonington. Other divisions, I think was try to think.
You're running out of time, my man.
No, I don't want to offend any teams either. So I mean, I can't think off the top of my head.
No worries, that's fine. Who is the second highest ranked Central team in the West of Scotland? So for the old legacy Central teams, no the Ayrshire teams, like you got Hunters Ayrshire teams in the
right. So it's basically with the ranking system, basically.
Aye, so who?
Talbot were top. So it's
No. Who is second best Central team in the Premier League this year?
What do you mean?
Well, you've got Clydebank or Tap for the Central.
Oh, so who's second? Right, okay. Right, I get you now. I don't actually get you, mate.
Hey, you've got Clydebank or Tap, and then you've got about 1,500 Ayrshire teams, and then you've got another Central team.
Right, okay. Aye, so it'll probably be the likes of Cowannon.
Mate, they're for Ayrshire.
Aye, but they were in the same league.
But they're for Ayrshire, they're not for the Central.
Right, well the next one doing I think was so Beef and all that's all Ayrshire, isn't it? Aye, so I can't take him. Right, I'll go with.
They're not even playing this year.
I know.
I'm sorry, but this is getting embarrassing.
Oh hey, I'm feeling a wee bit better now.
Man, I think the question guy. I tell you what, you'll not be getting Hingley's job. What's his name? Piers Morgan's job. I don't know. Just I'll put one out. I'll go with Roswell.
Right, no worries. Out of the 4 new additions, who is highest ranked in the league? So you've got Drumchapel, St Cadoc's, Glasgow Unit, and Bonnyton.
St Cadoc's.
Right, that's us finished. So the first question, who are top of the 4 leagues? You both got Clydebank right. Dak, you've astounded me with this, by the way.
How?
And Bank, you got that right. They're Conference A. Conference B, Nielsen, you got that right. And Conference C, you got Kilsyth right as well.
Mate,
Well done.
I'm very knowledgeable. I love your game. I love your grade.
I couldn't even name
that's 4-1 to you right now.
We'll finish yet.
It got equally as bad in the second part though. The bottom 4 teams in the Premier League is Cumbernauld. Matt got that right, you got it wrong. And Conference A, it's Ardere, you got that right, Matt got it wrong. Conference B and C, you both got them wrong. It's Vera Leven and the Ants. So the second highest ranked Central team, not Cowannon, not Beath, who aren't even playing this year. Are they playing this year? No, that's good. That's not bad. Are they? Who cares?
Aye.
Who cares? Right. It's Blantyre.
Aye.
John Gibson.
Morton was atrocious in that case.
It was. Matt got it right away. And the 4 new additions to the setup, St Cadoc's are sitting 4th in their league. Glasgow Unite are 6th. Bonnyton are 12th. And the Drum are 2nd. So, Dak, you have won 5-2. So that's you 2-1. You're 2-1. You've lost to Gordon Duncan. Beat Bill.
Next disciplinary. Well, they know the disciplinary, but next meeting Ashfield are up. They're getting hammered, didn't we?
That's a man for the book.
We always have a tiebreaker question, which I'm going to throw in anyway, even though it's irrelevant. My two favourite teams in the west of Scotland, who people always know because I go on about it a lot, are the Port and the Ants. How many points do they have combined? Matt, I'll let you go first.
The Port and the Ants, well, you just tell us the Ants are bottom of their league, so they don't have many. Port's doing not bad. Chris McKillop's on the committee. Maybe phone a friend on that one. I don't know. 20 points between them.
Right, Dak, what do you think?
I'm going to go with 16, mate.
Matt, bang on the nose, 20 points.
Well done, Matt.
18 and the Ants have got 2, so Martin McKenna might do a great job with the kind of social media stuff, but you need to have a word with Danny and Kush to sort themselves out.
Aye, need a wee bit of work in the park there.
Right, well, that's us for this episode. We hope that people have enjoyed listening to it because it's good to have you on. I believe this is your first kind of interview that you've done since you've taken there. So it's good that hopefully people will be able to kind of have a wee bit more clarity on what's going to happen going ahead. And we really appreciate you giving up your time.
Oh, Matt, thanks very much for your time. It's been outstanding to speak to you.
Great. Thanks very much for having us, guys.